Honk. What's up? I was saying about it.
Still love it. Still
It's
love
amazing.
it.
It's still great. What's up, Cobra Kai fans? Welcome back to Cobra Kai Nation. All hope you're having a great day. You know, my interview is going to be an awesome one this time, as well. It's always awesome, you know what I mean? But this is going to be super awesome because I am speaking to Calvin Han. Is it Calvin Ahn?
Yeah.
Ahn, sorry. Calvin
It's all
Ahn,
good.
who is the stunt double of Yuji in Cobra Kai Season 3. Calvin, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
For sure. We were just talking about, you know, what that moment must have been like when you realized you were going to be Yuji stunt double, seeing the honk. And of course, you're a big comic book fan like myself. You love Marvel, DC, that kind of stuff. And can't wait to talk to you about that. And Calvin has a very impressive resume, if you're not aware of that. He's done work on Luke Cage. He's done work on Daredevil, Iron Fist, and John Wick. You guys know how amazing John Wick is. Calvin, you've done some awesome things with your stunt career. And obviously, before we talk about Cobra Kai, I want to talk about what was the moment you realized you wanted to do stunt work?
I've actually always wanted to do something in regards to performing and fighting. I started off in theater back when I first moved to New York City. And then from there, eventually just transitioned to go into film work. And I found with my martial arts background that could transition into a potential stunt career. And lo and behold, played my cards right, and here we are.
Right. And you have a very impressive martial arts background. So did you feel the fact you kind of you had all this background and obviously you developed that more over time? Do you feel that really also inspired you to do stunt work? Because you're like, I've got this, you know, this ability and I can really display that on screen when given the chance.
Honestly, a small part of my brain and dreams were always part of that because, yeah, I was a big Bruce Lee fan, Jackie Chan fan, Jet Li fan growing up. So, yeah. And so hence, you know, the idea of like, I want to do that and I want to be in film and TV. But, you know, as you grow older, unless like you're actually actively pursuing it, it's just kind of like, it's just a dream. It's whatever. But, you know, as time went on, like I kept training martial arts, really enjoyed it, tried to expand my knowledge. And then even with the performing background, it eventually started to transition more. It's like I could see myself doing this more in film and TV, and I had a very fortunate opportunity to get into Marvel Netflix, and from there everything just started to snowball from there. So I'm happy.
Right.
So yay!
Yeah, definitely. Well done to you. Super cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
So like, yeah, you said about your inspirations like Bruce Lee. I mean, obviously Bruce Lee had such a big influence on anyone that's doing stunt work and just martial arts.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's on like I feel like he's had a huge influence on like MMA. Like he was like the godfather to that. And who else would you say within this industry has been a huge inspiration to you?
Well, as a performer, acting as an actor, I appreciated people like Yuji just growing up, just seeing like, ooh, Asian male faces who I can actually kick ass on screen, can act well. It was just like, that was really cool. So Yuji was someone I actually like admired back when I was younger. There are other Asian actors like Russell Wong, there's BD Wong. I've made some friends with other current Asian actors over the years, and just watching them like perform and just watching their careers advance, just seeing their work on screen, it's been a pleasure. I'm just like, it's great to like just watch them evolve and get better with time. So
yeah, there's so many great people in this industry. Like I'm a huge fan of martial arts movies. I absolutely love action, as I said. Hence why I'm also a big fan of Marvel. But you know, people like Sammo Hung, yeah, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, all these guys.
Yeah, Donnie, definitely Donnie.
Wow, that man is insane. Like the work they got these guys do, and yeah, like even John Wick, like Keanu, just amazing what he does for his age. And obviously, you got loads of awesome action stuntmen in this industry, and it's just awesome to see so many varieties and styles. And with your martial arts background, so like how, please go into that, like with what exactly you've done within martial arts.
Oh, sure. My base art, the first art I started out with was Taekwondo. I got my black belt in that. Yeah. So that was the only martial arts school in my hometown at the time. So I was just kind of like, all right, well, this is what I got. This is what I'm going to use and what I'm going to learn. And then I went to college. I learned American martial art called Kaji Kempo, which is a mixture of karate,
Heard of
judo,
Kempo.
jiu-jitsu, Kempo, and boxing, American and Chinese boxing. And so from there, when I moved to New York, I tried to find another school like that, but couldn't find it. But I transitioned into Northern Shaolin Kung Fu and
Oh,
Bruce Lee's
awesome.
Jeet Kune Do. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
currently just training on my own because of pandemic. Don't want to get sick and all that. So yeah,
Mm.
still keeping busy. So I'm happy.
Out of all the styles you've learned, which one would you say has been the hardest to learn?
I would say Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's martial art. It's simplistic, but at the
Mm.
same time, it's a constant refining of the basics. It's never just like you have this move, you learn this next move. It's constantly like, all right, you have this move, but how well do you have this move? And like every day that you train it, you just get better and better if you're doing it, consistently and correctly. So yeah,
Right. Yeah.
honestly, it's the simplest things that people think like, oh, that's so basic, but the basics are what kind of really matter in martial arts because that's what you can always rely on in, God forbid, a real life situation. So yeah.
Right. It's a very useful skill. Not only it's like you're making a career out of it, it's your passion.
Hmm.
It's an art in itself. It's awesome to see all these different styles and ways of expressing this a martial art. And then of course, yeah, the self defense. Like that's so important to have. Like it really does help you in so many different ways. And of course, it just makes you a very confident individual. And
Hmm.
would you say that the martial arts has really, I mean, I'm sure it has, but it's taught you a lot about the lessons in life, like with discipline?
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't get into the philosophical aspect of martial arts until college, and once I got there, it was just interesting to delve deep into, like, say, Zen philosophy, just learning how to like be in the moment, be focused, don't let anything else distract you, just concentrate on what you're doing in that moment, and that lesson has carried on like throughout my entire life, and even with this whole pandemic going on, like as long as I had martial arts to train and focus on, it's actually kept me pretty sane, so I'm happy about that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
As a form of like even exercise, like that's so important during the pandemic, just to be able to stay fit and healthy. I mean, that's one of the best things you can do against this whole COVID situation. And I mean,
Absolutely.
I definitely miss the gym. Like I used to do some karate when I was a kid. I did Shotokan karate with my brother.
Oh, that's great stuff.
Um, and yeah, that was super fun. And then it kind of transitioned where I was more into like other sports, and my brother was really into MMA, so he wanted to learn jiu-jitsu,
Mm.
Muay Thai, Muay Boran, all these different styles. And uh, yeah, the one thing I will say though is I kind of wish at a younger age I committed to learning more like kung fu, like Jeet Kune Do, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Would absolutely love to learn Taekwondo as well. I mean, that is such a cool style. Like, man, damn, that must be so. I'd say must be harder than karate, definitely, because like,
It's evolved over the years. Like when I first started Taekwondo, we didn't have all the tricking that you see now. It was all literally just basic, jump kicks, and
mm,
it was more traditional martial arts. But throughout the '90s, when I stopped training it, that's when it started to evolve into like XMA, and then people started adding more gymnastics, acrobatics. And I was just kind of like, wow, if I'd born just a little bit later, I would have gotten into all that. But no,
yeah,
yeah. But yeah,
right.
I applaud you if you can get into it. It's definitely worth your while.
It's just such a I love the lessons, like you said, like yeah, learning more about the philosophy within martial arts. Like I think there's a lot of people that think, oh, action adventure, it's just simply like how looking cool, fighting, but it's so much more than that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like growing up, all these amazing films, like you see it on screen, it's amazing, but you really don't understand the teachings within it. Hence why it comes to my question with the Karate Kid, like with Miyagi, you see the cool karate, but it's very much about the philosophy with Miyagi and the way he had these unorthodox methods of training karate. Um, what was that first experience like for you, watching the Karate Kid and growing up with all the films?
As a kid, I could definitely empathize with the character of Daniel just for the fact that I was bullied when I was growing up as well. So just seeing those hardships and then eventually seeing, his hero's journey, learning how to like defend himself and develop
Yeah,
self-confidence and discipline, and finally coming out on top at the end was just kind of like, yay, it's a good story. I can relate to that.
yeah,
But I think just now looking back on it as an adult, I think the brilliant thing that the filmmakers had with that actual story, that's not just about martial arts and kicking ass, but having Mr. Miyagi add the philosophical aspect of saying like, it's not just kicking, it's not punching, karate's not just here, it's not in your stomach either. It's all like internal. So by learning that philosophy later on in life, you learn how that really makes you more of a well-rounded individual and makes you a better person in the long run. And as an adult, I can fully appreciate that now more, and I think that's why Karate Kid still holds up after all these years. Parents can look back on it and be like, wow, there's really good messages in this film. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing with the Karate Kid, you have the big three that came to Ralph and William, and they created this show with Cobra Kai. And I love the fact they've continued it without ruining what the Karate Kid was. And then like Yuji coming back in as Chozen, surreal moment to see him back on screen, and Kamiko. It was super awesome to see Tamlin as well. And then I mean, talking about the philosophy, like I feel that Chozen's always been sort of misunderstood. He seems like that he had a very rash way of dealing with things with Daniel.
Yeah.
Very much about honor, all that kind of stuff. Sounded very traditional, very much influenced by Sato. But I love the teachings that he learns or he teaches to Daniel in season 3. And of course, that amazing moment you were a part of was a big moment of Daniel learning about karate within Miyagi-Do that he didn't actually truly understand. And that was super awesome. So talking about that whole experience of working with Yuji, being part of this scene, run me through everything that happened up until or from the moment you knew you were going to be in season 3.
I literally didn't know I was going to be stunt doubling for Yuji until I got the contract on the plane down. I just assumed I was like,
wow,
oh, they need stunt guys, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'll come in and play a high school kid. I think I can still pass for a high school kid. So yeah, but yeah, I got the contract and I saw like stunt double Chozen. I was like, oh, cool. And then getting to set and just watching everybody work, it was just like a well-oiled machine. Like Hiro and Janelle, they had everything like down to a T, choreography laid out, and like how they wanted to shoot everything and all that. And I admit, Yuji did majority of all the stunts, and I only did like, as you saw in the actual episode, the kicks in the barrel roll at the very end. And
that was so cool. The barrel roll. That
appreciate
was super
that.
cool.
Yeah. But he did all the fight work, and he did a phenomenal job. And like, I was very impressed. He still got it. So yeah.
Definitely. I think Janelle, because I spoke to Hiro and Janelle, I love those two. Janelle was saying that Yuji had hidden that he had like an injury. So I think I don't know which scenes in particular, but like I'm probably assuming like the whole when they were outside, like Yuji's fighting, like he had an injury as well. So yeah, for his age to do all the things that you said, amazing work. And that barrel roll, well, actually that entire scene. So was it really to the script, or did you guys kind of play around with different versions of it and try and go for something a bit more different?
From what I recall, it was pretty much according to the script. I was told, me and the Mark, who was Daniel's stunt double in that scene, we were just told that we'd be doing the stick fight scene with a drone shot above, and that we would be, doing that. And at moments, if they needed us, we'd step in for Ralph and Yuji during the fight scene. But for the most part, we just, provided safety and just watched them execute the choreo themselves. And yeah, they both did a phenomenal job.
For sure. Definitely one of the best fights I've seen in Cobra Kai and just generally in the Karate Kid universe. It was, I mean, Chozen, I feel like he can whoop anyone's ass. Like, he came in and cleared the dust with Daniel. Like, Daniel was like, wow, all these teachings. And Chozen comes back just like that. I mean, I know you were saying you were influenced by the way Daniel's life was in the Karate Kid movie, and it's very relatable. But like for you as a Karate Kid fan, like what does it mean to see someone like Chozen on screen and like coming back to this franchise and displaying that character in that way?
I really love the character arc that they gave him. The fact that when we last saw him, he was just, a destroyed bully who was just kind of like, oh, he's ruined his life. He has no more honor. He's going to end up being like, derelict or whatever. But turns out after all these years, he actually turned himself into a better person. And I just love the fact that when they first introduced him, like he was just like, I'm going to kill you, Daniel. You don't know when, you don't know how, but I will kill you and get my revenge. It's like, oh shoot, this is gonna get interesting. Right. And then just to have him like have that, exchange with Daniel at the end of that episode where he's just kind of like, here's a scroll, enjoy yourself. or what, just like go about and keep learning and keeping, enjoying the teachings of the Miyagi-Do. I was just kind of like, that is a great character arc, because he didn't go the typical like, I'm gonna be mean forever and all that. He evolved and he became a better human being because of it. And just to watch that he and Daniel could now become like, allies, I was just like, that is a really great character arc. I really enjoy that. I hope they bring him back for season 4, just keep evolving that relationship further.
Oh, that would be amazing. Like, I think the way they dealt with his character, even though he was just in for the right at the end of episode 4, and then obviously the whole of episode 5, I think he impacted the show so much. Like, for me, he was one of the best things about season 3. And that whole Okinawa journey, seeing Kamiko again, Daniel rekindling that that sense of connecting with Miyagi in a way, because his roots was in Okinawa, and also connecting with the karate he learned. This gift he was given, in a sense, from Miyagi was very important, and I loved the way they tied it in. It was a business journey, but he's inspired. He's at the bar. He feels like, yeah, I should go to Okinawa. I'm in Japan. This business deal wasn't going right, and I love the way they bring that back to his principles of karate, and then learning something from Chozen, who was the guy he fought to the death. Like you said, I couldn't agree more. Chozen was so one-dimensional in the second film, and the way they brought his character back, and then seeing him do the honk, like, he went through such a journey. I was just like, I'm so curious, like, when Chozen realized he's changed and needs to be a better person, and then the first thought, he's like, when I see Daniel, I better honk him. I better get him back. Like, I should scare the hell out of him and do that. So yeah, please tell me what it was like when you saw seeing the honk for the very first time when it was filming.
Well, I saw it for the first time. Like, I had to literally just kind of step off set a little bit and just kind of like bite my tongue and be like, it's still funny. It's still funny. I read it several times. I picture it in my head and I still see it live. It's still funny. Still so funny. And yeah, like, it's just a perfect moment just to like showcase these two characters, their journey up until this very moment. And it's just like, you think like, oh, he's finally gonna get his revenge. It doesn't look good. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's changed. And now he has a sense of humor. I dig it. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it was a great moment. I'm glad I could have been part of it and just watching it unfold in real time. So
yeah, definitely something you'll never forget. And oh man, I'm just like imagining like how Yuji felt knowing he's gonna like do this with Ralph, and just experience the honk like from his perspective rather than Daniel doing it to him. Like, it must have been so funny just seeing that flip of the script. I mean, Chozen's always had this like that sinister smile, like, it's almost, we're talking about comics here, and like John Walker has this like evil smile that like Chozen kind of had that in the second movie, like that cocky, arrogant smile, and then we see him in Cobra Kai season 3, and he's just trolling Daniel. He's completely screwing with him. I absolutely love that. So yeah, doing that fight, that must have been the super fun experience, because like, you're showing such a well-respected character on screen. Like, let's go through the whole barrel technique you had to do to do that kick with Mark. Like, how was that?
It was. The way it came out on camera, I'm glad it like really turned out really well. It literally was just a setup. Like, Mark has my leg in that moment, and then when we say go, he literally just rolls, and I roll with him through the air. So like, the way they edited it down, it looked like almost instantaneous, like bam, right into that. But trade secret, it was just, he held my leg, and then we rolled together on action, and then they got the shot they wanted, and that was that. And so yeah, it was a really cool moment. We did it about 4 or 5 times, and they liked the last take, and it was like, beautiful, we got it, great, move on, thank you so much. I was like, thank you. So yeah.
Yeah, that was super cool. And the whole fight, it's really interesting, because Chozen's like, yeah, defense takes on many forms, and I mean, he's totally right, because Daniel thinks, yeah, it's all about self-defense, but it's a very subjective word when it comes to defense, because yeah, like Chozen said, many forms. With the styles you learn, do you feel that Chozen's like point there is just more enhanced with the fact, like with styles, it's truly about the retreat and being able to balance yourself within fighting, and more than just trying to like go out there and attack someone,
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think the whole key point right there is balance. It's like you can't have, all defense and no offense, nor can you have all offense and no defense. Like you need a balance of both. And I think, storytelling wise, at that point in Cobra Kai, Daniel kind of like embraced like, oh, the self defense aspect, but just self defense. And Chosen's telling him is like, hey, there's other stuff here you haven't learned yet,
Yeah.
and clearly your master did not teach you that. So I'm going to show you. So yeah, but it's a great key aspect also of martial arts, just to show the fact that it's like there's always something else to learn. No matter how much you think that you've mastered something, there's
Mm.
always something else you can learn from somebody else. So I think that's also like a great, philosophical aspect of martial arts that they kind of slid into the script right there. It's just like, you didn't learn everything, did you? It's like, so
I
yeah.
love the way he reacts when Daniel says about the Shimpo Sensei, and he's like, "You know Shimpo," and then Daniel's like, "Yeah, I know it all," and then he's like, he has that eye roll, and he's like, "You don't know anything. Come with me." I love
Yep,
the
yep.
attitude, and yeah, I feel that's really important. That's something you can apply to anything with balance. Like,
Hmm.
life is truly about balance. You can't have too much of one thing. And that's
Absolutely.
something I loved that they brought out through Chosen's character. I
Hmm.
think, in a sense, it's like fulfilling that Miyagi void that we don't have Pat Morita back. And Chosen's like the person that Daniel fought to the death is literally teaching Daniel something that his own sensei would, which was, or did it chose not to, but could have taught him. I love the way they flipped that, and yeah, that was just super awesome to see them come back in season 3. What would you
Hmm.
say was the most interesting part of season 3, other than the whole Okinawa adventure?
Um, I just like the fact that we also learned another aspect of Daniel's evolution, just in the learning process, especially when the character Allie came back at the very end. Spoiler alert for anyone who
Yeah,
hasn't seen it yet, but
you guys
yeah,
should have though.
yeah, she comes back and they kind of fill in that little plot hole of like what happened between Karate Kid 1 and Karate Kid 2, where like they broke up because she allegedly cheated on him, but in actuality, it's just like that's not what happened at all. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
But I think the great thing that they're doing throughout the whole season so far is that they're showing the evolution of each character, and they're showing that people do evolve over time. No one stays exactly the same. Case in point, like Johnny from season 1 to season 2, you just see his like change from going from like you know, drunk bum who can't really get his life together to like finally getting some focus. And now we have Chosen, who last we saw was like all down on his luck and like an angry person, but he's evolved now to like this high-ranking teacher who has embraced the philosophies of Mr. Miyagi and
Right.
therefore has become a better individual. So just watching all the characters evolve throughout the whole season and then hopefully throughout season 4, it's just interesting to see like where everybody's going to go next. So I applaud them for doing that. It's a great ride.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love what they've done with the arcs of Daniel, Johnny, and even Chosen for that episode he was in. Like, they've really done those characters justice, and also continued that whole the nostalgia of being in that Karate Kid franchise. And yeah, I mean, I love Johnny. I think he's just so interesting to see someone like that was a one-dimensional bully again, has like learned something from even Daniel's experience and just generally. I would love to see Johnny and Chosen interact. Like, I feel they could bond over like, yeah, we used to bully Daniel, and like, I would love to see maybe them even have a fight.
Yeah.
If you could, if you could choose Chosen to fight anyone in the Karate Kid franchise, who would you like to see him fight that he's never ever?
Um, I can't remember the name of the kid that Terry Silver trained in Karate Kid 3.
Oh, Mike Barnes.
Yeah, Mike Barnes. Yeah, I would love to see a matchup between them, even between Johnny and Mike Barnes. I'd be curious to see like oh, Cobra Kai too. I know Cobra Kai too. We'll see who Cobra Kai better. It's just like yeah. So that
Right.
that'd be a cool matchup to see. I'd watch that. So yeah.
For sure. And I just feel the way Daniel was like easily beaten. Um well, Chosen had no problem with Daniel. Like he dispatched him very well in that fight, and obviously the whole pressure points technique. I think I would love to see like maybe Daniel, Johnny, Chosen sort of fight the bad guys like Kreese, Terry,
Yeah, yeah.
and Mike. Like a big 3-on-3, or
Hmm.
just seeing like Chosen take Terry and Kreese together. Like that would be insane. And
Yeah, the fanboy's dream right there. It's just kind of like, what is your ideal fan matchup? It's like, I want to see this. I want to see this. It's like, all right, we'll see. We'll see if that happens. So yeah, I mean, I'm right. I'm right there with you. I would love to see. I would love to see those fights, played out in the show. But we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see where season 4 goes. So yeah.
Yeah, these the fights that Hiro and Janelle did in season 1 to 3, absolutely amazing. Like they really built on each fight. Like the tournament was an insane experience to see that on screen, and then the school fight in season 2 was wow, the one shot sequence, and then season 3, the whole house fight, and then of course in the dojo at Cobra Kai. I mean, what fight do you think what fight did you like the most out of all 3 seasons?
As of right now, like the school fight at the end of season 2 still stands out because, at that time you're just watching like this big old spectacle of kids just going at each other. And this isn't just like, kids just pulling hair or just slap each other. Like these are trained kids like going through, each other kind of like, with skill. And I'm just like, that's pretty impressive. But even the house fight was, impressive as well. It's just kind of like, oh my God, they really upped the ante on season 3 and all that. So I think just initially though, season 2 still stands out because that was the first time. And I was just kind of like, wow, their choreography is pretty amazing. And I was just, it was really impressive to watch.
Right, and like, of course, the shocking moment with Miguel and Robbie. Miguel and Johnny are probably one of my favorites, or some of my favorites. But so seeing that was like, whoa, like that's how they do it. It was crazy. And then like season 3, we're gonna see that. And we see the whole fight with Kreese, Johnny, Daniel, and then Daniel doing the pressure points technique. Wow, what a moment!
Yeah.
I mean, I just really hope we do see Chozen in the future because I don't feel like they're done with his character. I feel like there's so much more he could do because they leave it on a very open note, as you know, like because Daniel's like, oh, I wish all rivalries could end like this, and Chozen's like, what do you mean by that? Of course, he's referring to Johnny, but Chozen doesn't know about the whole ordeal in the Valley. So I would love to see him come to the Valley and help Daniel teach his like students, or even help Daniel and Johnny learn from their styles and merge their styles. And I would love Chozen to be that almost a cog in the engine to get it going and to create this. If you were to create a style of karate based on all the different principles we see in Cobra Kai with Eagle Fang, Chozen's Miyagi-Do, Daniel's, what he's learned, and Johnny, what elements would you take out and form if you had to create your own?
Well, Eagle Fang, I think, has a lot more dirty fighting, so definitely take some of those aspects involved. Chozen's Miyagi-Do definitely seems a lot more evolved than what Daniel's learned. I mean, because Chozen's been training more over the years compared to like Daniel and all that. Right. But just seeing a marriage between dirty fighting from Eagle Fang and what Johnny knows from his Cobra Kai days, along with Chozen's Miyagi-Do, I think you have a pretty good symbiosis of 2 styles that could complement well with each other. And then going up against Kreese's Cobra Kai, I'd be curious to see like, don't have a counter for that, do you? So you're like, nope. Right. Nope, sorry. So yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah.
In a sense, Daniel fought Kreese half and half with like his Miyagi-Do and then Chozen's Miyagi-Do because he learned the pressure points technique from Chozen. Although that's still Miyagi-Do, I feel like it's very different styles of Miyagi-Do, and I think I mean, in a sense, like he may have not beaten Kreese without learning from Chozen. So I actually think like Chozen would probably beat Kreese very easily because of like the experience he has, and probably like he said, he's been training a lot more than Daniel, for example. But honestly, like, do you think Chozen is one of the best fighters in the Karate Kid universe?
I think he's proven himself to be one of the better fighters in the Karate Kid universe. We saw how Kreese was beat up by Daniel pretty easily with the pressure points at the very end of season 3. Be curious to see if season 4, Terry Silver comes back, teaches Kreese some new stuff, and then he takes that knowledge and whips Johnny's and Daniel's butts in a sort of like altercation, and then be like, oh, everyone has to constantly keep learning and evolving and adding new skills to their whole skill set. So let's see Chozen come back and actually integrate some of his teachings into that whole scheme of things. Could happen. I have no idea, but it could happen. I'd like to see it. So yeah,
for sure. Like with Terry, like he has it's very, very like no mercy. The whole Quicksilver method, with the blinding your opponent, all that kind of stuff is very much made from like being in like a situation from their experience of Vietnam is very extreme. Chosen learned a lot of deadly things, but it's evolved over time. There's a real history to it, like with the whole. I love the little story that Chosen tells us about this pressure points technique. With the invaders, and they had to learn to defend and to kill because it was obviously a very big situation. They needed to use a technique for that reason. Yeah, I would love to see how Terry, when he comes back into the story, what he does with with that Cobra Kai, and obviously the characters that are currently with Kreese. So with that being said about Cobra Kai, let's talk about Marvel. Of course, before Cobra Kai, you like you said, when you were involved with Netflix prior with Marvel, you got onto Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist. What was that like when you first found out you're going to be in a Marvel show?
First Marvel show I did was Daredevil. I was excited. I didn't really know what to expect. I was just really happy to be part of the whole, institution, as it were.
Right.
And yeah, like I worked the first season of Daredevil, just playing a random, I think it was Triad or Yakuza guard, and yeah, and then from there, just kind of everything started to snowball from that point on, and things got more interesting in the second season. So I got to come back and play a chef, a security guard, and a ninja, and that was really exciting. So yeah,
right.
And it was a real pleasure just to be part of that whole universe, and just watching my peers and everyone come up with like really intricate fight scenes, and just watching everybody work. It was a great learning experience, and I'm always grateful to have been part of it.
For sure, yeah. And like we were saying prior to the interview, like we're big Marvel fans, so I mean, especially for you, like being involved in a Marvel production must have been such a fanboy moment. Like I'm gonna be a Daredevil, and I think, were you involved in the hallway fight scene?
The hallway fight scene, I was not, no. But yeah, I know the people who worked on it, and they did a phenomenal job. And yeah, they did great work. It's still up there as one of like the best fight scenes ever in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
yeah. I really feel like Hito and Janelle captured that same sort of feel within some of the fights we've seen in Cobra Kai, like that, not these quick cuts and changing angles. It's really just embracing that realism of just like if you were there in that one angle and you're sort of moving and looking. I just love that sense of style that they've kept. They've actually kind of included in Cobra Kai, and definitely one of the craziest fights. And Daredevil's obviously one of the best martial artists in Marvel. And then going on to Luke Cage and Iron Fist, like, did they feel very much like, this is kind of another day at the office, or did they feel quite different as well?
No, they're the what exactly do you mean by just another day at the office?
Like, as in, did it feel like the same sort of experience like you had with Daredevil, or like it's just it was slightly different?
Each experience on each of the shows was different. Daredevil was a lot more martial arts intensive for me because I had the opportunity to be part of the whole, hand organization and coming back as a ninja or fighting off as a security guard. Luke Cage, I was brought in as part of a huge group of Asian stunt guys to be part of this fight scene where just Luke Cage and I forget the bad guy's name. He was with Copperhead or something.
Cottonmouth,
and just
Cottonmouth,
and just starts like wailing on the whole, Asian organization and whatnot. So it was a good experience. It wasn't as martial arts intensive compared to just like brawling and just getting the crap kicked out of you and all that.
Right.
So, yeah. And Iron Fist was along the similar lines. It was a little bit more martial, but it was also it was a quicker experience. So I can't really say it was as intensive. It was just a different experience, but still enjoyable. So
for sure. So and then of course, and John Wick, you worked on the second film. That is, when I first saw that film, I was like, this is probably the best action film I've ever seen. If you're talking without Marvel and stuff, like hands down had to be the best film. What was it like, if you were involved with Keanu, just to be part of that production?
Well, interesting story on John Wick. I am listed in the credits of that movie, but the actual stunt stuff that I was working on for the production actually got cut at the last
Oh,
minute.
that's a
They changed the
shame.
whole storyline. It's okay. Like I still had a great time. Like a
Mm.
lot of Asian stunt guys were brought in from the West Coast and the East Coast, and we all worked together in this nightclub in the middle of New York City. And we were working on this gun battle scene, and the stunt coordinator was stepping in for Keanu and just showed us like what they wanted to shoot. But at the end of the night, they had to run it. They ran out of time, so unfortunately couldn't shoot it. But then eventually found out that they changed the entire course of the story, and what we got was John Wick 2 as you see it today. And no, I think it still works. I think it looks great. So while I did work on John Wick 2, technically my final work did not make the final product, but I still worked on it. So I'm happy to say that I worked on John Wick 2.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe if the multiverse, I feel like the multiverse could exist in real life. Like, there's another universe where your version is there.
Oh yeah, somewhere that's the high standard for John Wick 2. It's just like, thank you, multiverse. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you still worked on it and like you had that experience. It must have been super cool. And um, with your like Marvel experiences and also John Wick and even Cobra Kai, what have been like what have been most important lessons that you've learned from these experiences, would you say?
Um, when you're working on production, that's that type of big budget kind of thing. Being professional on set, knowing what you're doing, and hitting your marks at all points at all times, and don't uh, don't make the stunt coordinator look bad, and just do everything correctly. Then yeah, you're fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's being part. It's just another cog in the whole giant machine of film production. So as long as you do your job, you do it safely, and you don't cause a ruckus and make things slow down for production, then you're doing your job right, and more power to you. So yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So I asked this with a lot of stunt men, stunt women, like about their. I know, I understand it is a balance where you need to have practicality and then creativity with like a lot of these scenes that we see on screen, and to make them very enjoyable for the viewer, but also works for you guys, so you can create these scenes and make sure they happen to the best of your ability. But for you, is it really like, do you feel like you're more about the practicality, or you're like, we need to try and be creative and so we make it look real cool? Or yeah, do you feel like you're more of the practical type than the creative?
I think I'm actually probably a good combination of both, because you can't have one without the other,
Right.
because then the story that you're trying to tell with the violence doesn't help contribute to the whole storytelling of the whole film in general. So if you're a fight choreographer, stunt coordinator, whatever, it's your job, I believe, to be able to tell the story and drive the story along through the art of violence, and help tell a story of like how the character's evolving to get from this point to that point, and then continue the story of the film to make the audience go like, oh wow, that's interesting. I want to see what happens next, and then you just keep following the story. So yeah, if it becomes like gratuitous violence where it's just punching and kicking or
Right.
gunplay for the sake of just spectacle, then I personally just kind of go like, okay, what's next? Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, you need to have a combination of both practicality and creativity, just to help keep the story moving, but also keep the audience engaged
Hmm.
with like what's happening on screen. So
Right. Because I can just, as a viewer, like, yeah, if I just saw a bunch of punches, like, okay, could be cool. But if it's very intricate, like every punch meant something, like you
hmm
can, and they kind of really bring that out in the way they view that. Like, he went here for this reason, that reason. And like, I love it's like almost storytelling with seeing martial arts. Because at the end of the day, martial arts is an art. So
hmm
we, as the viewers, are lucky. We get to see all the spectacle, amazing stuff, and obviously you guys experiencing it, you're doing all the dirty work, and we're very fortunate to see amazing things like that on screen. So
hmm
that must have been a hell of fun doing all this, and to be part of productions like this. But when you first got into stunt work, with your background and everything on martial arts, with all the styles you mentioned, did you feel like you picked things up within the industry quite naturally, or did you like think, "Wow, this is yes, much more different than I expected"?
It was definitely a lot more different than I expected. I already had a bit of a fight background, like performing like on stage and theater and all that. With I did a lot of Shakespeare back in my 20s
Oh, sweet.
and whatnot. So yeah. So yeah. But from those productions, you learn how to like tell the story through the violence, and because you're doing it live, you learn how you have to like be in the moment and tell that story to people not only in the front row but all the way in the back. And in film, like little minute movements that you do on camera are picked up so much more succinctly compared to like these big grandiose movements and all that. So trying to relearn like that skill set for a smaller medium like film TV was a little bit of a challenge at first, but eventually, yeah, I started to pick it up and adapt, as necessary. So yeah, but yeah, there's always something new to learn every time like you're on set and seeing like what coordinators have to offer and show you and all that. So yeah.
Sure. Within like, so with this, I know you said you grew up with martial arts and stuff, but like, was it like did your family also like, was there an influence there? Or was it just like, yeah, this is kind of like my own thing, and your family just kind of supported you with it?
Yeah. I actually didn't get into martial arts till later, like probably like 14 or 15 years old. My dad was a fourth degree black belt in Taekwondo. He got his belt, fourth degree black belt in Korea before he and my mom moved to America back in the early 70s. But he didn't practice it as much as I was growing up. He mainly did yoga. But I was always interested about it. And then like, seeing Bruce Lee movies, seeing the Karate Kid and like, even in the 90s, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and all that, just like, this is all so cool. It looks amazing. I want to be able to do some of that someday. And yeah, and then eventually I started doing martial arts, and many, many moons later, here we are. So yeah.
That's right. So almost like your father was like a sensei to you, right? Like not only he's a father, but he's teaching you a lot about Taekwondo. I absolutely Taekwondo. It's always in the, out of all the martial arts, it definitely looks like one of the most difficult to learn. I mean, obviously, like you said, Jeet Kune Do is difficult, but I just really think it's definitely got to be one of them tough martial arts to learn. But with that being said, like I think Terry Silver, I think he's kind of, I think Thomas Ian Griffith, who played Terry Silver, I think he has a Taekwondo background. So you might have noticed a lot of the kicks he did in Karate Kid 3. So it would be cool to see that maybe when he comes back in Cobra Kai, that more Taekwondo spin on things, because their sensei, I believe he was called Kim Sing Yong. He was, I think he had like some sort of Taekwondo background.
So he actually had yeah. Sorry, it's there's another Korean martial art called Tang Sudo.
Sorry, Tang Sudo. My mistake.
Yeah, it's all good. It's a Korean karate. It's like, I think it's a Korean version, I think,
of karate
or Chinese kung fu. I can't remember which, but yeah, that's the I think that they claim now that that's the style that Cobra Kai is based on. So
right.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Do you think it's really important to represent styles in the way that it's always been shown, like in actuality, or do you feel that that's not too much of an importance when it comes to on-screen stuff?
I think there is a key aspect of having practicality showcased on film, because then it showcases the audience who aren't in the know of martial arts to be like, all right, I don't know anything about this, Tang Sudo and all that, but I noticed they got like high kicks, they got punches, they got chops. It looks very kind of like, very kind of like sharp, concise movements and all that, compared to like, say, Kung Fu, which could have like, circular movements and more flowy patterns where things just kind of like transition from one move to the next. And so for people in the know, I think it'd be kind of cool to be like, oh yeah, I recognize that. My buddy does Kung Fu though. Those exact same movements I see him do, in the school the other night. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So currently, is there like any styles you're starting to learn, or sort of? I mean, I'm like you said, there's so much to learn within martial arts. You're constantly evolving. Yeah. Is there any styles you're trying to work on at the moment that are fresh?
Before quarantine hit, I was trying to get back into Shaolin Kung Fu, but my school closed down, sad, because of pandemic. But in the meantime, I've just been working on Taekwondo kicks and tricking kicks and Jeet Kune Do and just boxing movements, kickboxing movements, because that's what I can do on my own or with a stunt buddy in the meantime. I want to get into BJJ, but just until everyone's vaccinated and all that, I don't think it's the safest thing to do right now. I do respect the style a lot. I love it. I just I don't want to roll around on the ground right now with someone and just be like,
yeah, a lot of grappling and stuff involved with that as well. Like all these submissions you see in like like UFC fights and stuff. I love seeing BJJ involved in MMA. It's awesome. I don't know if you've actually seen this, but there was a deleted scene, I think, for season 1 or 2 of Cobra Kai, of Johnny Lawrence walking into a BJJ dojo, and he's like, this is like part of that sequence where he's handing out flyers for Cobra Kai.
Okay.
And he puts it on the dojo, and they're like, "What is this?" And the sensei of BJJ comes walking out, and he like says to Johnny, like, "Why are you trying to get them to? What are you trying to do here?" And he's saying, "Oh, well, they're gonna learn a real style, not this nonsense you're teaching them." He like actually like it's so funny. Like, I'll probably try and send it to you or something. It's great.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, no, I've not seen that, but yeah,
it's really good, and it always makes me laugh. Just seeing Johnny kind of talk about another style when he's like, "Yeah, real American karate is the best," and even though his style of karate is actually from Tong Sudo, but I don't think he knows that.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. But to round this up, we have to talk about being a Marvel fan.
Oh yeah.
Who is your favorite character all time?
Spider-Man, hands down. Can't complain. I recognize. He's a nerd, gets superpowers, and still has like the hardships of trying to pay rent and get the girl and all that. So yeah, Spidey, hands down, all the way.
Spidey's. I think Spidey for me is definitely the one growing up. He's always going to be one of the best. And then obviously with the MCU, I'd probably say like Captain America. Would you say Spidey's your favorite from the MCU as well, or is there another character for that?
For the MCU, definitely like Thor and Captain America. I definitely liked. I don't care what people say about Fat Thor from Endgame. I thought it was a hilarious character choice.
Oh, I loved it.
Or Thor himself. It's like, think about it, like the guy fails ultimately, like not once but twice, 3 times, and all that. So what does that do to a person realistically? It's just like, well, if you're a god of thunder, you get drunk and you get fat and you stop working out, as it were, and then you try to come back and redeem yourself. I was like, I'd buy it. Some people didn't like it, but I was like, I'd buy it. I dig it. Makes me laugh. So yeah.
I can understand why people were annoyed initially, because they're like, "Oh, Thor's supposed to be this badass." Like we saw in Infinity War, like bring me Thanos, all that that side to Thor. We've never really seen that like savage Thor, and seeing him wield Stormbreaker and the way he comes in to kill Thanos at the start of Endgame was such a the difference when you see him 5 years later. It's totally normal though for anyone to go through. They made that mistake of not killing the person that destroyed half of the universe. He owes it to the Avengers. Like it's kind of his fault in the sense he didn't go for the head, as Thanos said.
Right.
But yeah, I think the whole arc they did with him was great, and to still make him badass at the end battle with using both his hammers, it was surreal,
Yeah, I mean that was like a great cultural moment just to be in the theater opening night and just watching that whole end fight just kind of coalesce to the big old spectacle that it was. It was really cool. So hopefully they can top it this next round. So yeah.
Seeing Infinity War and Endgame in on opening night was probably the best experience I've ever had on screen. To see that in as it happened on the premiere night, and it's just amazing what they did with Endgame as well. I mean, I'm obviously a big Captain America fan because I absolutely love the comics, the different versions as well, like US Agent. But him lifting Mjolnir, that's still the fighting, and then Avengers Assemble, and even that scene with Thor trying to use both his hammers to overpower Thanos, and then Cap trying to pull Stormbreaker. Even that, I love it.
Yep.
Definitely was an experience for sure, and I really hope to see you when working on an MCU film and being involved in that. Obviously, that would be super cool.
I hope so too, man. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely.
Crossed. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, super cool to meet you, Calvin, and to talk to you about your experience. Thanks for sharing all these stories and about Cobra Kai season 3. Super awesome to hear, and about your martial arts background. And to just sort of round this off, actually, I was wondering if you wanted to take some fan questions. I think loads of people in the stream wanted to kind of hop on and kind of just ask you one question each. And
sure.
We get some super fun questions from the viewers. It could be about your martial arts, could be some advice about martial arts, Marvel. We get some cool questions, so I'm sure you'll enjoy them because
Cool.
You're definitely like the fanboy like me. Love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Sweet.
Bring him on. Yeah, let's do this.
Let's see who the first brave person is. Oh, okay. We've got Sam. Talking Cobra Kai. What's up, Talking Cobra Kai?
What's
I
up?
better change that actually. Hold up.
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you
How's
guys
it going,
doing
man?
today?
Good. How are you?
My question is, how many like for your stunts? How many like different takes does it take to like get the stunt like perfect?
It really depends on the day. Like if you know what you're doing and your partner also knows what they're doing, you could have it done within two to four takes. Or if the director just really likes the first take, they'll just be like, "All right, we got it, perfect, cut it, and let's move on." But yeah, it just depends on the day. The director likes what you're doing, and you're hitting all your notes and hitting your marks. You can be done super quick. I've done fight scenes where it only took like 1 or 2 takes, and it's like, all right, moving on. It's just like, yay. So yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It's good to see you.
Have a good day.
You too.
You too. Sweet. Okay, who have we got next? Let's get Sam on. Hey, Sam, how's it going, man?
It's going good.
How are you?
How's it going?
Doing pretty well.
Cool.
So, what's your question for Calvin?
My question is, when you were training for season 3, how many hours a day did you have to like train and practice for?
Yeah, I flew in the day before we were shooting, and we had a fight rehearsal for the morning for about 2 to 3 hours, just going over the choreography. So in case Yuji or Ralph couldn't do the choreo themselves, then the stunt people would take over and do the choreography. So yeah, 2 to 3 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah,
they must
good
have
question.
flown by so quickly, though. Just
Yeah.
With your experience already and everything.
It's like, what time is it? It's like, it's only noon. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And we're done. It's like, yay, all right, go home.
Sweet. Thank you for coming on, Sam. Another good question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, let's get on. Who have we got on? Steve. Steve, what's up, my man?
Okay, so I have a question.
Sure.
Shoot.
Can you confirm or deny if Chozen's gonna be in season 4?
I can neither confirm nor deny because I have no idea. I'm not involved with season 4 as of right now. I did my time with season 3, and that's it. Sorry, man. Yeah, you'll find out just like everybody else.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, nice to shoot your shot, Steve.
Yeah. Nice try. Can't help you. Sorry.
The honk. That's the moment right there for him. All right, take it easy, Steve.
Take it easy, man.
All right, sweet. Let's get one more. Savage Birdhouse. What's up, man?
Hey, yeah, I got a question, and I know you guys are like Marvel fans, and also for the MCU, for which Spider-Man you actually prefer, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom
Oh, I like
Holland?
this one.
That's such a trick question. I like Tom Holland's interpretation, but I grew up with Tobey Maguire, so I kind of have to go with Tobey at this point. Like, I liked Andrew Garfield's interpretation, but I didn't like the second movie as much as I liked the
A lot of
first
people
one,
were like, hit and miss.
Yeah.
You know?
But I am curious to see how Spider-Man 3 turns out. I am hopeful, fingers crossed, that all three of them show up.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
They're really keeping that film under secrecy, and to talk about all the multiverse stuff. I really hope they do appear in that, but we also see them in the Doctor Strange film because I know that's going to be dealing with multiverse.
Yeah, I heard Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness has been moved to 2022 already.
Yeah, it's in March, so exactly a year from now. We'll see the film. Hopefully, fingers crossed again. Touch wood, no more delays. COVID doesn't get away.
Last question, but this is a Cobra Kai question. Will any one of the cast members will Miguel and Robbie will actually face off in the All Valley tournament, and there will be any new characters coming in season 4, 5, or 6?
Is that a theory? Like,
yeah. Is that what's the question? Are they gonna
Yeah.
fight the All Valley?
What's the
or-
question?
The question is, will there be new characters in season 4, 5, and 6?
oh, new
Oh.
characters. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 new characters. They're youngsters, but we obviously don't know who else is going to be in it. We'll find out. Like
Yeah.
Calvin
We'll find
said,
out
even
just
with
like everybody
Chozen.
else. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, we wouldn't know about that. No.
Yeah. Also, are you driving right now as you're doing this stream?
No, I'm actually on a special transportation. I'm actually on STS. I'm not actually driving. I'm just in.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna
I was
say.
gonna say, it's like, are you
Drop
live
safe.
streaming and driving at the same time? That's not
man,
safe.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even
All
have
right.
a driver license. Sorry, man.
Okay. All right. No, good. No,
Calvin
good. That's
just
good.
looked it
I'm just
out.
glad. Yeah, I'm just glad that you're safe because I was like, dude, eyes on the road. Don't look down at the phone. Yeah,
Oh.
eyes on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, like guys on the
Oh my
road,
God.
like
Yeah.
don't use your phone while driving. Don't
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
don't do this on
Yeah,
streaming, guys.
Plot
Put
twist.
that on the comment
Yeah.
section.
yeah.
Like massive
Don't
plot
drive
twist.
and text people. Yeah.
He's like actually filming like a stunt scene. He needs the
Yeah.
time.
This is kind of like, oh, and he's gone. The camera went out. So yeah.
And I heard you do actually taekwondo. I'm actually doing that too.
Cool. Yeah,
That's
man. Keep
awesome.
at it. It's a great style. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really good for
I'm
you.
actually doing MAS, which is actually martial arts system, which is actually by Hammocks Boulevard.
Cool. Very cool.
nice
Yeah.
one,
Here
man.
in Florida.
Nice. Dude, man. Yeah.
Sweet.
Keep at it. Yeah. Keep
Awesome,
training.
man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, asking the questions.
Alright.
It was great to see
Yeah.
you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Take care.
time.
See ya.
You
Take
too.
it easy, man.
Mhm.
All right, awesome. Well, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you all for
All
tuning in, coming in with your questions. It's been so fun to do. Of course, Calvin, thank you so much for coming on the show and
Hey.
expressing everything about your experiences. Super awesome, man.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, man.
All right. Take care, man.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.